In this video I will be taking a look at the Midori Web Browser. Let's install it. I'm using the GNU+Linux distribution MX in this video, and I will install the Midori Web Browser as a Flatpak from here with the installer. The Midori Web Browser, it is available on GNU+Linux in various ways, on top of you being able to install it from compiling the source code. Of course, it is available to download from their website, as well as Flatpak, and also the Snap software is one way that the Midori can be installed. Now, I do not recall the distributions of GNU+Linux where Midori may or may not be available in the native package manager. Those distros may exist, but I don't recall them, or which they were. But it is not in Debian, and it is not in Debian based distros, at least. So I'm using the Flatpak here. Now, while this installs, I might talk about some things with the Midori Web Browser. The Midori Web Browser, it is rather obscure in the sense that not that many people use Midori, and not only that, when making a search on the internet in a search engine, there's not even that many results on the Midori web browser, unfortunately. So that's very interesting, but don't let that discourage you. Midori is actually a pretty good web browser. It is certainly good in the sense that it is more lightweight than the bigger, heavier web browsers. People often use things like Firefox. You can see Firefox here, but it's not installed, it's just on the dock, so I'm gonna get rid of it right now. Right, so yeah, it's a lightweight web browser. It's like a fork of Firefox in some sense, but as far as I can tell, like it's not really a fork of the Firefox web browser. It's more like a fork of the web engine, the Gecko web engine that Firefox uses. So I'm not exactly sure on that. I'm somewhat confused on what exactly is it a fork of. Seemingly in the past, Midori was a fork of the, no, not a fork, an implementation of the webkit, a browser engine that GNOME's Epiphany, GNOME Web, whatever it's called. It's right now called GNOME Web, but it used to be Epiphany. Similarly to that web browser, it used to be apparently based on the same WebKit engine, but now it has switched to the Gecko engine or something like that. That's what I gather. Now, I'll do a search for Midori, and what first shows up is nothing related to the web browser. There's some Japanese liquor and some other nonsense. So that already shows that it's pretty obscure. Well, actually that's not true. This is already the web browser, but still, yeah, still bunch of nonsense. I mean, this is the web browser, so actually that's not really true. So I guess I was kind of talking nonsense then. It is there. That is the web browser. But let's see. Well, I guess it doesn't have a Wikipedia page, at least on the top here. So let's try to specify. Go to Wikipedia. Yeah, now it found the Wikipedia. So it does have a Wikipedia page. So I mean, there's some information here, I guess, if you're interested in seeing some of it. So yeah, right. Well, let's just go to the web browser website that I saw earlier there. See what it's like in here. So yeah, in the downloads, it's of course available for lots of platforms. So yeah, there's some distro options here. I'm actually not sure what exactly these might be, or these binaries. I think these might be binaries, but I'm not sure. It doesn't say anything about source code. I'm not sure what those are. This is a pretty unfortunate way to say what distro it's for. It doesn't bother specifying what version of Debian. Is this Debian 11, Debian 12, Debian 10? Yeah, I wouldn't install it from the website. Yeah, don't install it from the website. That's a bad idea. Yeah, don't go to the website. Find whatever other means of installing it that people would typically use on the GNU+Linux distributions they use. I don't in general recommend installing software from the internet like this if it can be avoided. Where if you have the option to install like from a native package manager especially, you should always prefer something like that. But I'm just showing it for the sake of showing it since I'm talking about it. So yeah, there's a web browser. Yeah, and interesting, the Astion Foundation has a web search engine as well. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I guess you could take the link there and use it as your default search engine. So yeah, anyway, enough ramblings. Let's get to the settings. So there's some stuff here. There's some clear private data option here. I wonder what that does. So yeah, that's just a shortcut to deleting the history. So yeah, that's pretty good. I guess it restarts the browser also. I don't think I've ever clicked there. I'm not sure if it's meant to shut down the web browser. Who knows? Anyway, the settings. So yeah, preferences is what it's called. There's only the options of DuckDuckGo, Yahoo and Google, despite the fact that the Astion Foundation themselves, they have a search engine. It's not even possible to use it here. That's pretty stupid, I guess. Now, unfortunately, this web browser does not give the ability to choose any arbitrary search engine by just adding it here. So that's always unfortunate, but I'll at least put the search engine... Wait. Oh, some stupid clipboard thing isn't... I don't have some clipboard working right now. That's unfortunate. I have to go again to the there was Astion. So yeah, here, let's copy that. I'm gonna make it the home page. So there, the clipboard didn't copy paste it for some reason. That's unfortunate. But anyway, who cares? So now let's see if that worked. I'm gonna close the web browser. And I'm gonna start it again. I should probably also pin it here. Oh wait, I can't. The stupid docking feature in the XFCE, the docking plugin. This is an irrelevant tangent, but this dock-like taskbar is pretty stupid. It doesn't allow me to dock the flatpak. That's annoying. I guess I would need to manually go and add that to the dot applications or whatever local applications file, or share applications, whatever it's called. Local share applications. I guess I might need to add it here or something. Who knows? I don't care to investigate that right now because that's not what I'm talking about. The web browser, right? So yeah, as you can see, it's launched into the front page. That's pretty good. Now let's get on with the settings. So the settings here are pretty decent by default because, like, well, that's weird, but I guess it might not connect to the internet. I don't think that it might just be using a local search. It might just be searching a local database of words, so who cares? But I don't need that. Now let's see. Proxy server. So that's pretty good. The web browser has a proxy capability. I haven't tested this, so I don't know if this works with, for example, I2P. Let's see. I'm gonna have to move the microphone a bit, so sorry for the noise that might come up. Right, so yeah, sorry for the noise. Let's see. Alright, so I might need to test this with the I2P network later. Yeah, that's pretty good. Delete pages. Delete page from history after 1 month. I would probably change that to like a single hour. Whatever. Advertisement blocker. Yeah, that's good. Comes with those installed. It doesn't enable that by default. That's unfortunate, but at least it's there, so that's pretty good. Now, how good is this? I actually don't really know how good is it exactly. But I mean, having an advertisement blocker at least, it's better than not having any at all. So yeah, there's a bunch of weird things here. I mean, that just changes the color of the tabs, so I guess that's nice. So this should enable all of them to have all the best things. Now the settings are not that extensive. Yeah, there's not that many options there. Does that do something? I can't click there, that's weird. What a strange website. Anyway, so yeah, right. What should I say in a video about a web browser? I mean, it does what a web browser is supposed to do. You can go to websites. So I'll go to GNU.org. And you can see the colorful tabs are very colorful. So I mean, yeah, it's a pretty good web browser. If you want some smaller web browser that doesn't have like this very large resource consumption to it, then like it's not that big. Look at that, it's just a 221 megabytes. That's not much. That's not that much. That's pretty small. And yeah, like it's not that heavy of a web browser. And like it's a web browser. Like you can do whatever you want with a web browser. What do people do with a web browser? Well, I guess YouTube videos might not be. I'm not remember exactly, but well, here's the thing. I don't really recommend you go to youtube.com in general. So I'm not gonna even bother with showing that. Why should I? I recommend you go to. Wait, what's going on with that one? Oh, I misspelled. Sorry. I recommend you go to in videos and you choose your the instance of your choice. Let's just go with that one because it has a good connection. Right, so like I don't recommend you go to youtube.com in general. So if you want to watch like YouTube videos or something, like whatever, you know, there are ways to do that. The scroll in the mouse isn't working. So yeah, there are ways to watch videos, and of course I've mentioned this before and I will mention it again. If I remember this time, that's the URL. I messed it up in a previous video where I showed this thing. Like there's clients and front ends and all kinds of things for watching YouTube videos and the likes. So having a web browser that is more or less capable of like browsing YouTube or watching YouTube videos and the likes, it's not necessarily necessary, and like I know that's something that people do on a web browser, I guess, but if you don't necessarily need to do the heaviest of tasks on the web browser, then Midori is just fine. Like that's a solid web browser, I say, and like it can do all the things that you would want to do. Like I'm having a hard time coming up with anything that people do on a web browser. I don't know what people do on a web browser. I guess I'll install I2P. So let's install I2P. I'll also test if the proxy works for the sake of the video. Let's wait for the downloads to start. Has it started? Yes. And then I need to go back because I always forget to copy this line. Then in the downloads. Now this is irrelevant to the Midori Web Browser, the whole I2P thing, but whatever, I might as well do it in the video because, I mean, the more attention to give to the I2P the better, of course, because I want to promote it. So yeah. Wait, I'm not supposed to test it yet. CD cd i2p and then i2 router start, and now I can close out of this one. So now let's see if it knows to start in Midori. No, this is something else. What is this thing? Oh, it must be one of those MX. Oh yeah, MX comes with this weird web browser thing by default, so that's kind of weird. I don't want to use it though. Yeah, because this distribution of GNU+Linux that I'm using, MX, it has its own weird web browser renderer thing. But I don't want to use it now, that's weird. Right, so I'm gonna try it again. No, actually I don't think I need to have that. Yeah, I don't need to have that there. You can see that, yes, indeed, the proxy does actually work just fine. I'm just showing this as a demonstration of the fact that the proxy does work and I2P is also running just fine. So yeah, proxy, Midori, good stuff. Right, so yeah, I am noticing some lag and the web browser is not as responsive sometimes as I would like it to be. For example, when I create a new tab and if there's already a bunch of tabs open or something like that, then there seems to be some lag. However, I cannot really hold that against the web browser because I am running this in a virtual machine indeed. So the MX you can see here, this distribution, this is actually installed in a virtual machine. I am running a virtual machine right now. So this is not the host system, this is not a native installation or whatever you call it. This is not the host system, this is a virtual machine. So because I'm using a virtual machine, then some of the performance issues can be excused. One would need to install this on actual hardware to measure the performance of the web browser and such. Now, the lag you're seeing right now, or the delay or whatever, is because actually it's trying to use the out proxy on the I2P. I should probably disable the proxy. I don't need the proxy anymore, I just want to see if it works. So yeah, it's a decent enough web browser, like it's not a bad web browser. Like, I don't see why more people wouldn't want to use this, and like it should be way more popular than it is. Like, this should be installed on like GNU+Linux distributions by default. Now it is installed on some of them at least, like, or at least has been, and like the Wikipedia mentioned, there was a list actually. There was actually that list in the Wikipedia, if you noticed, when I went to it earlier. There was a list of those distributions that had the Midori installed. What is this language now? German or something? Or English? Right. Let's see. So yeah, here, like, there's a list of some distros. It has been installed before on like some distros. There's some Raspberry Pi operating systems, some versions of Elementary OS, Bodhi, Manjaro, at least one of the Manjaro variants. I don't know if it was Manjaro or was there like some minimal installation version of Manjaro or something like that. I don't remember. Whatever, some Manjaro, and Trisquel apparently has had it, Trisquel Mini. Some, yeah, right, so some distros have had it, so that's good. It's a decent enough web browser. Yeah, like, yeah, you can use it, it's good enough for all kinds of things that one would want to do on the web. It's not that bad, not really. Like I mentioned, the resource usage is not that big, and yeah, it's not that big of a file to install either, the file space or file size, whatever disk space requirement. So if you want some lighter web browser, Midori is just fine. Yeah, right, so whatever, when it comes to the performance and such things, then it might not be the most performant. Like, if there's some heavier websites you go to or something, like, they might lag, and of course there's always those few people who have some weird bizarre requirements to go to some very specific websites that require some very specific things, and yeah, of course, those sorts of arbitrary restrictions and stupid nonsense things, of course, those sorts of things, the Midori might not be compatible with all of those newest no, it's not about being new, Midori might not be compatible with all of those weird peculiarities, those very specific requirements. A lot of them are just stupid arbitrary things anyway, and like if you're going to some website with like some DRM nonsense, then of course that's stupid DRM nonsense, and I would just recommend you avoid that stuff in general anyway. So like if you use the web for like all the good things, so no nonsense DRM and no nonsense stupid websites that impose some specific standards that the web browser needs to follow, some very specific, stupid, and arbitrary restrictions and such that are really not based on any reality. There's some stupid nonsense. Then like yeah, maybe then some compatibility issues may or may not happen. But like I my personal opinion on that is that like well, it's not even just my personal opinion. It's my advice to you as the as the person who made this video, and to you, my dear viewer. This is my advice. You should stay clear from such stupid websites in the first place. Like, you can hardly blame the web browser for like stupid website maintainers making their websites so damn stupid that you can't go to them on a perfectly functional web browser. Like Midori is a perfectly functional web browser, so if if a website is so stupid that it doesn't work, that's that's the website's fault. Complain to the website. So yeah, I would just stay clear of such websites out of principle in general. So I never run into such issues. Right. So mainly what I would be concerned with is things like just the functionality and I guess performance also of the web browser. So commenting on those things, then yeah, the performance, I don't know. I haven't seen it to be the best out there, but it's not too bad. And like if you just do some light web browsing, like if you do is like some email stuff and like some website, you just go to some like web pages like with text and all that stuff, then like yeah, it's perfectly functional, it's perfectly capable. Yeah, uh, I guess Midori might not necessarily be. Actually, I would want to know one thing. How about compatibility with Firefox extensions? I want to know that. So I actually don't know. I'm gonna have to test it right now. So I'm gonna test it right now, this instant. I'm right now typing the address. I'm gonna install an extension, or at least attempt to install. Let's see if it works. So latest installer. Transfer completed. That means that I downloaded it. Okay. Can I open that file, lib.js, with the web browser and see if it works? Where did it go now? Midori can't. Let's see. I'm gonna have to try to see if I can install it. It cannot go to the URL like that. It cannot be pasted there, but I saw that extensions button. Let's see if this could do something. What is this? I don't think I've enabled this menu ever before. I don't know what this does. I don't know what this menu is. I just enabled it. These don't seem to show any tooltips, so I don't know what these do. Whatever, I'm gonna go to the preferences. Extensions. It doesn't have any extensions here. So let's see. I guess I would want to have, for my use case, more of an ability to install extensions and whatever. I can't seem to figure out how to install extensions on this. Nothing that looks like extensions seems to work for actually installing any extensions. So that might be some issue. So I guess like Midori, who would I recommend it to? Well, if you do light web browsing and just some basic documents and like email and such, so yeah, light web browsing I would say is the perfect use case for this web browser, and like as the requirements go down, so does the web browser choice change. Anyway, I'm just talking nonsense now. Yeah, the lower the requirements, then of course the more choices you have available to you, and with that comes all the different variants and the different web browsers that are out there. So if you have those very high needs and those very high requirements, then I guess Midori is not for you. But it's a solid web browser for what it is for, and like it's a pretty good one at that. So I recommend Midori if you do some light web browsing. And also, some people talk about like how you could have like multiple web browsers installed on your system and you like use them for different purposes or whatever. You know, some people are into that sort of thing. So if that's your thing, then yeah, Midori is a good thing to have in your arsenal for sure. Yeah. Right. Well, I guess I don't really have much else to say about it. It's a decent enough web browser. It's pretty good for being like this light web light web browser.